Instant ramen, the ultimate quick fix-in. Having grown up in a Japanese household with a family that owns a Japanese restaurant, I've eaten more Japanese food than any other type of cuisine. While I eat all sorts of sushi, tempura, and teriyaki, ramen is always a favorite of mine. Ramen is a noodle dish made of boiled buckwheat noodles in a meat or fish stock soup. There are often toppings like wakame or seaweed, kamaboko, fish cakes, and thin slices of chashu pork. However, I was forbidden from eating instant ramen, which is famous for being an easy-to-make and dirt-cheap meal that is still filling. So whenever I got to eat it at a friend's house, it was always a treat. As I grew older, I understood that the ingredients in the products were mostly unhealthy chemicals, and the manufacturing practices not environmentally sound. Instant ramen is nevertheless a Japanese icon, one that holds testament to Japan's ever-developing pursuit for efficiency and innovation. Ramen originally came from China, as there were many Chinese students and workers who came to Japan after Japan's victory in the Sino-Japanese War. Until then, Japanese cuisine was traditionally based on fish, rice, and vegetables. Few spices and meats were consumed. However, with the influx of Chinese immigrants, wheat noodles served in spiced meat broths that the Chinese brought with them eventually became a staple for lower-class citizens. I'm reminded of this by my mother whenever we go out to eat in ramen restaurants. She often complains about the price of the trendy dishes in the U.S. because she considers them a peasant food. Ramen ultimately allowed Japan to venture from the conventionally simple cuisine and towards combining tradition with foreign customs. Today, ramen is viewed as a national dish, and many of Japan's various prefectures claim a certain flavor of ramen as their own. It is even the regional dish of Sapporo, the capital of Japan's northernmost Hokkaido island. So, how did the classic cup of instant noodles in styrofoam cups come to be? Momofuku Ando was born in Taiwan during the Japanese occupation. World War II had just ended as Ando moved to Japan and subsequently lost the company he established there. Due to a shortage of food, the Japanese Ministry of Health encouraged citizens to eat breads made from U.S.-supplied flour. Ando was determined to find a more nationalistic way to serve his country, and he found a way to supply noodles to cure the national food shortage. He strived for a packaged noodle that was inexpensive and convenient, while still providing a filling and tasty meal. And after spending countless months and years experimenting in his own shed, he found that flash frying and drying noodles created the perfect just-add-water meal that was cheap to produce and to consume. He founded the Nissin Company and produced the first instant ramen meal called chicken ramen in 1958, thus revolutionizing the instant meal industry by creating a whole new technology of the heat and eat meal. Prior to this, instant meals were bulky, utilizing metal trays and big boxes that could get heavy. Instant ramen is lighter, more compact, and a quick, yummy eat. Today, instant noodles are so wildly popular all over the world due to their convenience, affordability, and tastiness. In Japan, the average citizen consumes an estimated 41 packages of instant noodles per year, and I'm sure most of us have heard of someone whose diet in college subsisted of a package of instant noodles at least once a week. In Japan, it's even called a gakusei ryori, or student cuisine. Annually, the world consumes over 65.2 billion packages of ramen per year, and can choose from hundreds of different flavors and brands to choose from. In China alone, there are over 300 companies that manufacture instant ramen, according to China Inc. Other manufacturers of instant noodles besides Nissin, which produces the cup noodles, includes Japan's Maruchan and Sanyo Foods, the ever-popular Shinbol from Korea, and the Maggi noodles from Nestle Company are popular even in countries like South Africa, New Zealand, and Bangladesh. It was even turned into a space food in 2005, when Nissin worked with the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency to create the Space Ram, which had a thick soup that keeps the noodles from splattering in conditions of low gravity. In addition to the flash-fried and dried variety, instant noodles come in pre-cooked form, where you just add packets of flavoring and oil in addition to the water. Instant noodles in general take 3 to 5 minutes to prepare and can usually suffice as a meal within itself, without so much as a side dish to supplement it. Some people have even created recipes with instant noodles, adding fresh ingredients to the packaged ones. The Nissin Company is the world's largest ramen producer, having consolidated net sales of 374,933 million yen, or $4,509 million in 2011. That's a 1% increase from the last year, which indicates that at a time of economic instability, ramen still proves to be successful as a cheap alternative to a more traditional meal. As Linda Chung, senior marketing manager for Nissin, said, "Frankly, looking at the history, ramen sales are fairly stable. It's a pantry loader. It's a go-to item regardless of economic times. So we don't see a dramatic sales changes regardless of the economic times." How does a company stay so successful? Well, they have come up with the 5 time-proven principles of instant noodles. Easy to prepare, easy to buy, we keep them safe, you keep them long, and boy are they tasty. The Nissin annual report calls the cup noodles deceptively simple. You just add boiling water, wait 3 minutes, and enjoy. And that ease of preparation, combined with the low price and convenience in stores, makes it an easy buy. They run extensive tests to make sure that their products are safe. They have the Food Safety Research Institute to use science to assure quality and safety. Because their raw materials are largely sent from China, they claim to have very extensive, perfected systems to screen the quality of raw materials. After the Tohoku disaster and Fukushima power plant disaster, they ran extensive tests and internal inspection systems to make sure their factories, which are found throughout Japan, are safe. They have also figured out how to package the noodles to give them a long shelf life. And of course, who can resist ramen's distinctive salty taste? Over the years, Nissin has worked to perfect the flavor of each of their dozens of different flavors and brands to keep their customers satisfied. In terms of service, Nissin has mobile kitchens that they drove around Japan to offer those displaced by the Tohoku disaster with food. And have projects running like the Dietary Education and Running Instruction Project to promote exercise, and Living with Hot Water Project, which focuses on reducing CO2 emissions. The company as a whole is striving to reduce their carbon emissions in the production of their noodles. To make Nissin's cup noodles, first, wheat flour, water, salt, and kansui, which is an alkaline water that makes noodles elastic, are combined to make dough. A machine stretches this dough out, and another machine uses blades to cut them into thin noodles. The noodles are put in cylindric, cup-sized portions and then are flash fried in machines, which means that they are cooked in oil at very high temperatures for a short period of time. This is done to remove the water that is in the noodles, which ensures preservability. The noodles are made of many strands of noodles, rather than they're made of many strands of noodles rather than one long noodle, as some people apparently believe. They are then placed in polystyrene packages, also known as styrofoam, and dried vegetables and powdered flavoring is added. The flavoring is made of ingredients like MSG, preservatives, and various other artificial flavors and enhancers. Finally, the package is vacuum sealed and shrink wrapped to maximize shelf life. While it's not clear exactly where the Nissin products that we eat in the Bay Area come from, there are many factories peppered around Japan and then other headquarters in places like India and Southern California. A rule of thumb that I've heard many times is that any ingredient that you can't pronounce is probably not good for you. Many ingredients used in making instant noodles can take you more than a few tries to get right. One particularly controversial ingredient is monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG. MSG takes on euphemisms such as yeast extract, gelatin, citric acid, and flavorings. Perhaps unbeknownst to customers, MSG is prevalent in our everyday foods, and you probably had or will have some MSG sometime today. MSG's prominence in the instant noodle industry stems from the glutamic acid's Japanese origins. Professor Ikeda discovered MSG by soaking kombu, a type of kelp, and isolating a chemical known as glutamic acid and fermenting it to create glutamate. This alone does not have a pleasant flavor, but when combined with meat broths, it brings out the umami, or delicious savory flavor. While MSG is on the generally recognized as safe list by the FDA, studies have investigated and found associations between MSG consumption and excitotoxin-induced brain damage. In 2008, a study found a positive association between MSG consumption and obesity, but the findings were challenged in 2010 when another study was conducted that found no such correlation. Nissin reassures the public by announcing in 2002 the establishment of the Food Safety Research Institute, funded by the Nissin Company itself. This institution obtained certification for the international standard for testing capabilities and management systems, and continues to oversee the safety of the production of the Nissin goods. Momofuku Ando credited his long life of 96 years to playing golf and eating chicken ramen almost every day. Nevertheless, when combined with high amounts of fat, sodium, and over 550 calories worth of noodles and seasoned chemicals in a serving, instant noodles are more comparable to a few large bags of Doritos than a wholesome meal. And what I found out recently was that a lot of the times people don't realize, but in a package of noodles, it's actually listed on the back as a few different servings, but people usually eat one of those in one go, which is probably not good for them. And what should we do about the styrofoam cups? When the contents of the polystyrene bowls are heated, the compounds within the bowls could contaminate the foods and cause endocrine damage to the consumer. However, the Japan Ministry of Health and Welfare's National Institute for Health Science stated that regulation on the use of such products is unnecessary for unstated reasons. Polystyrene is energy-intensive and oil-heavy and toxic substance. And although, according to the Nissin website, it's recyclable, but many recycling facilities do not accept styrofoam. Even after it is recycled, it usually becomes a single-use product. Because it is hard to recycle, styrofoam often finds its way to the environment, where it can block the digestive tracts of wild animals, or find its way to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Some people even choose to burn it, which releases highly toxic styrene gas. So we know that instant ramen, while a filling and economical meal, is not the healthiest for either us or the environment, but it still leaves a lasting impact on those who have eaten it. For those struggling financially, cup noodles are a reasonable solution for hunger, and at as low as a dime per cup at Walmart, who could resist? Ramen houses have also become trendy foodie joints. I cannot count how many times I've gone on midnight ramen runs to Halu in San Francisco with my friends, only to have to wait more than an hour just to get a seat. And there's even a record label called Fueled by Ramen, named after the group's modest beginnings and reliance on instant noodles for sustenance. It has even inspired one man to start an advice column called Ramen Advice, where he answers people's love questions using insightful quotes from Momofuku Ando. For a product first made out of desperation to hold a country together to become an iconic symbol for that country, in my opinion, is characteristic of Japan and its innovative ability to produce technology that becomes the prototypes for the rest of the world.